there guys, my name is Lewis. Now I am not a professional metal smelter, I'm not a professional anything honestly. I'm just a guy that likes to try things out. And today I actually found a pretty cool way of melting, hopefully, these things, metal cans, aluminum cans, into a hopefully useful metal ingot, aluminum ingot, that we can then later on reuse to make different metal sculptures and things like that. Now, again, this is the very first time I've ever done this. I have never seen whether it works or not. So it's an experiment. Hopefully it works. Success would mean that I have a pretty cool chunk of metal ingot that I can reuse later on, as I said. Failure, however, could mean anything from, oh, I got a small cut, to slightly more serious third-degree burns. Or the worst case scenario of, oh god, I burned down my house. So I'm gonna go blame it on a free-will duck. So let's see what happens.
Alright guys, so these are pretty much the materials we're going to be working with today. Fairly simple household materials. You may have to go out and get a couple of these yourself, but it shouldn't really cost you too much money. It really does depend on where you're getting them. So obviously we're going to start with the actual pot itself. This is a just ceramic pot. Has a nice little hole in the bottom right here, as you can see, and it has holes on the side already. Now the reason for these holes is because we're going to actually be using a carbon-based burning substance, so pretty much charcoal. Just put it out there, charcoal. So we're going to actually line the bottom with charcoal, and we're going to actually put something in there to melt the cans in. However, charcoal by itself, a charcoal fire by itself, will never get hot enough to actually melt aluminum on its own. So what's going to happen is we're going to actually have to increase the temperature a little bit. The way to increase the temperature of it and create a crucible basically for it is by actually adding some kind of airflow into it. Now I have seen videos out there where they have actually gone ahead and taken one of these and put the holes in themselves, like drilled it with masonry pots. It'll be kind of like a pot like this one, and then they'll put like a hole on the side over here, you know, to just like put the airflow into it, so it actually creates like a nice little air inlet and it increases the fire. However, with my luck and my clumsy hands, I'll probably just shatter that. So I actually went to the store and found one that already has some holes in it. Now this already has 3 holes. We're going to see if that is actually going to impact what we're doing or not. Again, this may actually create a crucible, or it may blow up in our face. So we'll see what happens. Now the other materials we're going to use, of course, apart from the charcoal, I'm going to use a stainless steel, and it has to be steel, cup. Now this you can get at pretty much any store, you know, camping store, camping section, nothing like that. These are actually designed to actually go onto a fire, you know, make some soup, whatever, make some tea, you can get it out of the fire and stuff like that. Now this is going to get really hot, so hopefully this will survive. But being steel, it should actually survive a lot more than the heat that is required to melt aluminum, which is the only thing that we're going to get this as hot as. Apart from that, we're obviously going to use, now as I said, we're talking about the airflow that's going to go into this thing. We're actually, to create that, we're going to use PVC piping, so wonderful good old PVC pipe. Maybe an elbow if we're going to have to put it underneath or not. If we're going to put it underneath so it comes out from that hole to the top, we'll put it with an elbow in there. If not, what we're going to do is we're just going to go directly from here into the side. Obviously we're not going to touch it because this is going to get pretty hot, and this is PVC, which is plastic, which means it's going to melt. So but we're going to put it close enough to actually blow air into it. Now we're going to either use our mouth, or the other idea that we've had, or that I've seen online a lot, is attaching a hair dryer over here and just cranking it up. Crank the airflow goes through, goes into the elbow, goes down to the bottom, puts a lot of oxygen into the fire, which makes it really nice and hot. It's going to actually make it that kick to actually get it going, or you know, on the side, depending. Now obviously, as you see here, there's a nice little pair of working gloves. These are leather gloves. The reason why I chose leather is because we're going to be working with some really hot materials. You know, if it works, this is going to get really hot. So you want some nice leather gloves for the simple reason that if this fails, well, as I'm trying to transport it from here over there, you know, it could get on my hand or anything like that. Obviously you don't want to have it on your hands directly, right? That's gonna burn your hand pretty badly. So that glove should actually do pretty good, you know, to actually prevent it from burning through my hands. Now Doesn't mean it's going to prevent it from burning through the glove. It doesn't mean it's going to prevent it from actually like burning me or anything like that. But it should give me a couple extra seconds to be able to take it off. That is leather. It should withstand the heat, a little bit extra heat, as you know, once it falls in. It won't give me that much time, but it'll give me a little bit of extra time. That's why I choose leather. Now, the reason why I'm not choosing like plastic gloves or anything like that is because, again, plastic melts. You don't want the glove melting onto your hand. And this final little piece over here, it's a nice little cookie sheet. Basically, you can buy it at any grocery store or anything like that. This is like a mini loaf maker. Afterwards, I'm going to dump the molten metal from here, the molten cans, into here and create a nice little ingot. The reason for an ingot? Well, the ingot actually stays nice. You can actually keep it on the side. You can create a couple ingots as you see fit, and then you can actually have it for extra storage, or whenever you need to use it again, you can smelt the ingot directly. It's going to be pure aluminum. It's not going to have any like impurities or anything like that. As you're going to find out with these cans, there are always going to be some impurities that we're going to have to take to get rid of. However, these things are usually coated in this like anti-stick thing. Now, I've seen enough videos of that to know that it's flammable. So, as I said, we're going to see some fire. So we're probably going to see that burn off when we put the metal in here. And of course, the last piece is we're going to need some tongs to be able to get this out of that when it's all hot. So let's see how this works. Alright guys, so here's my setup. I have, for safety reasons obviously, a bucket of water over here just in case everything catches on fire. Which I hope not, but whatever. Also, it is to cool off the ingot at the very end of the process if everything works well. Obviously a pair of tongs that I'm going to have to use to get things in and out, because pair of gloves are great, but let's face it, I'm not putting my gloves directly into molten metal. That would be a bad idea. Obviously these are the cans. We're just going to try and melt all of these wonderful cans, and here is the actual setup of the thing itself. We have our can inside here, surrounded by charcoal that we're going to light on fire. Underneath it, as you can see, I have actually raised it up a little bit from the ground so that the heat can go up, but also so the ground doesn't catch on fire. Hopefully. We have the PVC pipe with the shoulder inside here facing directly into that hole that we saw at the very bottom of this container. We have it going all the way out here. I have duct taped it into a hair dryer. Hopefully this will provide enough airflow going in here to actually increase the heat of the fire over here, bring this nice container into a metal hot, like red hot, and that's when we're going to start adding those cans into the fire, well, into this receptacle, and hopefully it will melt. So, hopefully. Let's keep our fingers crossed, guys. Let's do this. Alright, so it's taking me a little bit of time, but as you can see, everything is in full swing. It's actually really, really hot right now, but the can seems to be doing something. So, yeah, got that going, which that is really difficult to get going. So I have just seriously found out. And now let's see if we can melt the can. So, let's take a look over here, see what's going on. Yeah, it seems to be melting. Hopefully. Alright. So I have a couple more cans over here crushed. So hopefully those will go faster. Let's see over here in the bottom. I don't know if you can see that, but it does look like it's actually melting away already. So end results, as you can see in there, there is a chunk of aluminum inside the water. It is cooling off right now, so yay. This, you can see the scorch mark right around it. It held up pretty well, but it of course is going to get scorched. All of that is extra drag and crud that basically came up with the aluminum. We're gonna get rid of a lot of that. That was like about 10 cans. It only made that little block over there. And the pot itself. Now the pot kind of survived fairly well for one, but as you can see over here, it's cracked in many places. It's not the sturdiest of all things, so I don't think that would actually hold another one. And as you can see over here, we have pretty much what I expected it to happen with a plastic cover. Thankfully this was just a test. It is melting off, so we'll probably have to put a, even though most of the heat goes up, some of the heat went down obviously, so we'll probably have to put a metal one, metal elbow over here, and then the PVC piping will be good, so probably some kind of insulator inside here so it won't travel and melt this part. But for right now it seemed to work perfectly well. This contraption over here helped pretty well, so that's nice. I mean, I'll take it off and give it back to my sister, because that's actually my sister's. Don't tell her I'm using that.
But yeah, it all seems to be working out pretty well, and I do have a pretty interesting chunk of aluminum, which we're going to take a look at later when it's a little bit, you know.
Alright guys, so the final result here, as you can see, the cookie pan survived fairly well. It has a little bit of scorching going on over here, maybe a little bit on the bottom side, but overall it stayed pretty good. It survived, it has its shape, still good to go, very strong. The PVC piping itself bent a little bit, but not too bad, it can still be used. This is the elbow that was attached to the bottom, blowing air up. That melted, as you guys can see. So probably we're going to have to end up using a metal one of these so that it can resist the heat a lot better. Of course, metal will transfer heat, so there'll be some kind of insulator in between to stop them. So we'll see how that works out in the future. Now over here, the camping pot thing survived very well. There's a lot of scorching on it, but it doesn't seem to actually have any structural damage on it, to be honest. You can see like differential in colors and stuff like that from the heat, the change in temperatures that it had to undergo. But overall, it still survived. It's still fairly strong. It works perfectly well. Again, not going to be eating anything food in here. Now, all the stuff that you see inside is basically hardened slag. This is just the impurities of all the stuff that was on the can and stuff like that. There's a lot of aluminum in here as well, but honestly, it's unusable stuff. This stuff needs to be thrown out. The best way is just get rid of it, throw it out, and try and clean up as much as that as possible so that this can be used and it will extend the life of this as much as possible. So final results. From out of all of that being taken out, we turned about 10 of these into one nice solid metal chunk right here, as you can see. Nice and shiny, pretty cool, just naturally shiny. A little bit scorched on the bottom, but that's from the actual transfer of this stuff onto it. Now this, and of course a little bit of extra things, you know, I was able to rescue this much from the slag itself. But this is still pretty much, almost all of it is aluminum, so better not to let it go to waste, right? Now this is pretty cool. The reason why you want to keep an ingot around, or you know, like just spare aluminum, is so that now when we melt this, we can set up the whole process again. We can melt these, and then we can use them on to actually make different different molds and stuff like that. We can pour it straight into the mold and make different things, right? So the more of these, the better, and you can actually have your own way of recycling your own cans. Pretty cool idea, right? For anybody who wants to try it out. Now, again, the pot itself broke, so we're gonna have to figure out something that can hold it a little bit better. I'm actually thinking a brazier. They are meant to withstand heat, so a brazier would work perfectly well. We just have to figure out a way of getting that air flow into it and to be able to have a stand for this in the center so that the heat distributes evenly all across it, and that should be able to melt the aluminum cans a lot better. And yeah, so awesome. This actually seemed to work pretty well. Alright guys, let's see what we can do with this at some point.